Hey everyone, as you can see, we are all dressed up. Tonight we are going to Disney's Grand Floridian. We are having dinner at the chef's table at Victoria and Albert's.
That's right, we've been to Victoria and Albert's several times, but this is our first time ever doing this experience.
Yes, I am so excited. Now, if you've been following us for a while, you know we've already vlogged Victoria and Albert's, and that was about a year ago, and we were sitting in the main dining room. And then, as we mentioned tonight, chef's table, we've never done it, so we don't really know what to expect.
Not at all, so we're totally excited about this, and we're just gonna go in and let them kind of take us on this journey. So.
Absolutely, yeah. One more thing we wanted to mention real quick, as you can see, we are in suits. Victoria and Albert's has a strict dress code, and men must wear suit jackets. And I know that some of the other places on the properties, like California Grill, have a dress code, but I feel it's a little loosey-goosey.
It's more of a recommended.
Yeah. Victoria and Albert's, you have to adhere to the dress code. We have actually been there and seen gentlemen, they wouldn't seat them, and so they gave them like the loaner jacket. So just be prepared for that. All right, well, I'm ready to eat, so.
Let's do this.
And it's at this point we need to switch to a voiceover style video. Unfortunately, we wouldn't find out until we sat down that video is prohibited at the chef's table. We were told by our hostess that we could take as many photographs as we wanted, but video was not allowed. Super disappointing, as you can imagine. I think I actually let out a small gasp when she told us we couldn't vlog. But we decided to make the best of the situation, and we took a ton of photographs throughout the evening so we could still share the dining experience with all of you. So at the start of the evening, we were met at the entrance to the restaurant by our hostess and maitre d', who escorted us through the main dining room and into the kitchen. This was an incredible moment. Seeing all of the chefs at their stations, each of them assigned to their roles, it was so beautifully orchestrated and so impressive. It was a show in and of itself. We were escorted and seated at the chef's table, which is nestled inside a little alcove at the back of the kitchen, and the low wall partitioning the space provides a full view of the entire kitchen and all of the chefs as they prepare the evening's menu. Our hostess took some photographs for us to commemorate the experience. As you can see, we were there with our friends Josh and Taylor of the WDW couple. Our chef for the evening was Chef Amy. She came and introduced herself, and we kicked off the night with a champagne toast. She walked us through the menu, let us know of all the enhancements that were available for the evening, because we had the chef's degustation menu, which features 8 courses. With the optional enhancements, you can take that up to 11 courses. So this is a lot of food. We collectively agreed on one enhancement, but I'm gonna let Steve talk about the food in just a minute. But after our champagne toast with Chef Amy, Steve and I decided to kick off the evening with cocktails. I had my standard Hendrick's Martini. It wasn't something that was featured on the menu. And then Steve's drink was the Maple Bacon Old Fashioned, and I'm gonna let him talk about that.
The Maple Bacon Old Fashioned has to be made right away. The bacon is made on site, as you can imagine, and it's also candied with a little bit of maple syrup. It was absolutely delicious. Now, traditional Old Fashioned doesn't have this additional pairing. They paired it with a foamed port that you pour over the top of the cocktail as well, and it provides like this rich, beautiful flavor, and it definitely allowed for the spirits to shine through as well. So if you have a chance to get this and you love Old Fashions, it's a home run for me. I'm sure it'll be a home run for you all as well. There's a total of 8 courses that are offered within the chef's table. It's the exact identical menu that you get in the main dining room. So that's one thing that we didn't understand as well. When we booked the reservation, I assumed that we were probably gonna get a little bit of a different offering, maybe something that's more impromptu, but it is an identical menu offering that you would get in the main dining room. The wine pairing was also offered to us, and we definitely took advantage of it, and that was an optional wine pairing for $150. The first course is the amuse bouche with imperial caviar. Now, the way that I saw that this was presented was caviar 2 ways. The first one was a very small, bite-sized piece of phyllo dough on both sides with a panna cotta on the inside and a little split pea puree, and then topped finally with the caviar. It's a perfect crisp crunch, and you're able to enjoy it in one bite. Very, very good, very delicate. The next was the caviar at the bottom of a chilled bowl, and then topped with a smoked trout foam. Now, you know, I was surprised with the flavors. It was delicate, delicious, and again, a perfect amuse bouche to start off. This was also served with one of our favorite champagnes, Rugnart brewed champagne, and it paired perfectly with the caviar tasting. Victoria & Albert's also does a bread service throughout your entire experience. The first bread service that they start off with is a French baguette served with Vermont butter and a salt tureen as well for you to be able to enhance your butter. It's always beautiful, it's always delicious, and perfect start with bread. We both love French bread, and the crisp and crunch on it is just amazing. For the next course, we had a rohan duck, badger beets, and kumquats. So what I would like to say is describe this as a deconstructed cold appetizer salad. It is paired perfectly with an amazing wine that we did, and that was the Chablis French offering. The next course was the Ora King salmon, black sesame tahini, and a dashi broth. Now I remember them saying that it's very difficult to get that strong flavor of a dashi through without overpowering it, and it makes it a very delicate broth. Me personally, I really love the presentation of this meal. It's definitely Asian inspired. They brought out fresh wasabi, but they had spring onions, they had crisp ginger, and they also had tempura crunch offering as well. You just get to put on top. And this was a dish that was both light, delicious, but also a little savory at the same time. And the wine offering that they offered with this was a beautiful white blend from Napa Valley. The next course was the only enhancement we decided to add to the menu. This is one of our all-time favorites, wild turbot with toasted capers and preserved lemon. This is delicious. The fish itself is cooked in a beurre blanc sauce. It's absolutely amazing. Beurre blanc, for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's a white wine butter sauce, and it perfectly enhances this fish. One of our friends has dined here in the past but didn't enjoy fish, so they were able to make an alternative meat selection of chicken, and she said it was absolutely phenomenal. The next course was a surprise course, so it was not listed on the menu at all, and it was presented by one of the additional chefs that was supporting Chef Amy. This one was Southwestern inspired flavors with bison prepared asada style. And the flavors in general were a little bit of a heat, a little bit of a spice to it. Reminds us of the Southwestern flavor palettes, and the flavors were absolutely delicious with this. So the next course was, I think, everyone's favorite at the entire table. This was the veal cheek ravioli with winter black truffles. And I can only describe it by saying this was heaven on a plate. It's on a bed of white wine broth with truffle enhancements on that, with whole shaved black truffles on top of this. Your first bite, as you break your fork through, it almost reminds us of a creme brulee, but the flavors and the textures pair perfectly together. This is so decadent. The flavors were amazing, and then you pair it with a red Piedmont Italy wine, and it's a home run. Moving on then to the next course, and we're starting to get into those heartier offerings, and this is the Durham Ranch venison. Now, when I think about venison, sometimes I think that's gonna have a very gamey flavor. This dish definitely did not. The preparation was perfect, and it was fork tender qualities that you just can't normally get anywhere when you're trying venison. Now, Cipollini to me just kind of reads out like an onion family, and I think that was actually one of the better parts of this dish. Then they poured a red wine reduction on top of that. This was paired with a red Sicilian wine. It was perfectly paired. Now we move into the main entree, and it's kind of hard to think, you know, you have 8 courses and it sounds like we've already had main entrees, but this is the main entree of the night, and this is the Australian Kobe style beef. This steak is so absolutely tender. You don't need a knife. You can cut it with your fork and it simply melts in your mouth. And you know, frankly, the flavors alone on this is enough, but then you pair it with the amazing presentation they did with this. And they did a celery root with really beautiful and vibrant pickled vegetables that they were preparing for us all night right across from the table. We saw them do that. And then finally topped with a red wine mushroom sauce. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And it was paired with a rich gravat from France. And again, you know, they know what they're doing. You do have the option of doing a Miyazaki Japanese beef for $60. We did not do that. As you can imagine, we're kind of full at this point, so we definitely decided to stick with the menu as it was. Now that the meal is completely done from a savory standpoint, we start going into some of the lighter sides to wrap up the evening. The next course was a selection of cheese from around the world. And in the main dining area, you traditionally have a beautiful cheese cart that they roll up to your table, allow you to do your own selection of the cheeses that are available to you, and they cut and present them to you right in front of you. Unfortunately, because we're in the chef's table, they weren't able to get and maneuver the cheese cart to the back, and they simply brought out a plate of select cheese for us. A little bit of a bummer because we definitely like that aspect of the evening, but we were still able to enjoy all the different cheese offerings that they had. They ranged from different firmness, different locations from around the world, and it was also paired with multiple different offerings to enhance the flavor. Because Victoria & Albert's is all about presentation and charm, even offering coffee is an elegant experience. So they did a tableside vacuum pot for us, and you have this perfectly rich, wonderful cup of coffee that definitely allows for us to move in and get a little bit extra energy to move into our final dessert offerings. Right after the coffee was being prepared, we were presented with an intermezzo, a little surprise course getting us ready for the dessert. And this was a very soft, pillowy, and delicate looking dessert. It had the flavors of a vanilla bean panna cotta. There's also a little bit of offering of some honey on there and a little bit of raspberry jam in the corners. And we are at the final course. The final course is the dessert, and it was the orange chiffon with fig compote. And what I would tell you is that the flavors in this are very light, very refreshing. In general, I'm a bigger fan of rich, decadent desserts, but in favor of a 8-course menu that we had with one enhancement, a lighter offering was definitely welcomed at this moment.
And that was our dinner at the chef's table at Victoria & Albert's. Now, because this is Victoria & Albert's, we know there's probably one more trick up their sleeve, and that comes in the form of a giant box of truffles. They bring this to your table, and you can choose 1, 2, or all of the truffles to enjoy. We were so full from our dinner, we asked if we could have them packaged up to go, and they did that, with the exception of the cherry brandy. The cherry brandy still has the pit inside, so for safety concerns, they prefer you to eat that in the restaurant. But as you can imagine, we had a fantastic time. It was an evening of amazing food, great wines, good friends, great conversation. We had so much fun. Now, Steve and I did go home and debrief. We do have to say, as fun and engaging as Chef's Table is, we do prefer sitting either in the main dining room or the Queen Victoria's room. As we've mentioned, we enjoy fine dining. We love long drawn out dinners. So when we have a reservation at Victoria & Albert's, we want to get dressed up. We want to be wined and dined. There's just something about the atmosphere in the main dining room and Queen Victoria's room that really takes the experience of fine dining to a new level. Chef's Table was great, but it was a lot more casual than we want in a Victoria & Albert's experience. So let us know in the comments below, have you been to Victoria & Albert's and have you experienced the Chef's Table? Let us know in the comments below, give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe. And from our magic family to yours, enjoy.